I never thought I would learn the secret of money on the mean streets of Brooklyn, cradling a styrofoam cup of burnt coffee in my numb hands. But there I was, my back aching from the night shift cleaning at a law office, listening to the subway rumbles beneath my windows. I'd fled my old life with nothing but hope alone was slipping through my fingers. My name is Isabella Gutierrez, and in that moment, I was just 22. I had escaped a small village in Mexico where I'd scrubbed floors and made tortillas alongside my abuela. Back there, life was a string of small bills and smaller dreams. I believed America was different, a place where a hard-working girl could build something lasting. 5 years later, I sat on a chain-link fence at dawn, staring at a fast food joint opening up in Queens. My breath rose in the cold morning air. Behind me, the echo of Spanglish prayers faded as my roommate roared away to her third job. Each of us had stories humming with tension. We had crossed oceans for something better. But what if we ended up just paying rent and feeling tired? My life started not with the red carpet, but with bleach fumes and night shifts. I'd landed a cleaning job in a glass high-rise, washing marble floors and wiping handprints off courtroom walls. 11-hour shifts, 6 days a week for $9 an hour. I lived on ramen and stale bread, staring at my single-dollar bills and quarters. The American dream had me pegged as just another scrub and send money home story. On payday, I'd walk to the bank with trembling excitement, but always come out with lint in my pocket. My $600 check barely covered the $650 rent. There was no safety net, just the promise that hard work would pay off one day. My abuela's words echoed in my head. Chica, tus manos son tu riqueza. Kid, your hands are your wealth. I clutched that thought on bad days. I managed to tuck away $20 in an envelope for my sister's school books. It felt like a fortune, like I was suddenly rich in ways the village could understand. I'd grin at Mom on video call, promising I had so much fun here, hiding the hunger pangs I swallowed each night. My life was raw, but I was building something. One Monday, I clocked 2 extra hours on the floor. I didn't spend that night's $20 dinner money. Instead, I walked into the local credit union and opened my first checking account. Every cent was sacred. A month later, I logged in online to check my balance. It had $3 in interest. $3. It felt like magic. I didn't plant seeds in a garden, but I had seen how a tiny seed of money could spring to life on its own. One cold winter night, I pressed myself into the tiny break room with Carla, a nurse by day who cleaned courts alongside me after dark. She had a fearless glint. Between bites of empanada she'd bought with her tip money, Carla quietly admitted, "Mira, I'm scared, see? But I'm more scared of looking back at 40 and wondering what could have been." It hit me like a punch to the chest. Carla was stacking shifts, riding Uber, flying off to night classes, all on credit if she had to. She insisted I could do it too. Inspired, I realized I had a gift. Back in Mexico, I had stirred masa at dawn and made tortillas that tasted like sunrise. That next weekend, with Maria's stove and freezer packed with hope, I cooked batches of pastelitos and mole in my cramped kitchen. I plastered hand-drawn flyers in Latin grocers, Authentic Mexican Dishes by Isabella this Saturday. When I finally sold my first plate, a warm empanada, I charged $5 and felt a spark in my chest. By Sunday night, I'd earned $150 from neighbors hungry for home cooking. I was alive in a way that paychecks and pennies never made me. That small pop-up stall in my living room was my first business. I didn't realize then that every plate was teaching me that money can multiply when you bet on yourself. I was no longer just trading hours for dollars. I began hoarding every dollar I made from cooking, stashing it in an envelope marked Big Dream Fund. For the first time, I tasted what it was like to be an investor, investing in myself, trusting my own recipe. As the weeks passed, I hustled 2 jobs and sold Mexican food on weekends. It was exhausting, but exhilarating. One morning, while riding the bus after a double shift, I thumbed through a discarded business magazine titled Startups and Success. A headline caught my eye. Investing in your community. How local entrepreneurs are changing lives. It made me think of Mrs. Rodriguez's bodega back in Queens. She once let my roommate buy bread on credit during hard times. She was quietly rich in ways the stock market could never measure.
Months flew by in a blur of gravy and gasoline. My tiny envelope swelled. I finally opened a savings account in April and called my mother in tears. "I have saved $1,000, I told her, voice cracking. "We are getting closer." She cried with me in Spanish, proud and relieved. But just when I was allowed a moment of hope, life taught me something else. Storms come unannounced. In June, my father fell ill back home. Between hospital bills and travel costs, my carefully saved $1,000 vanished overnight. I charged flights on a new credit card. Another first. The subsequent bills and interest felt like chains on my wrists. I was terrified. I thought I had blown it all. But as my abuela's words came back to me, I realized I still held skills, determination, and community. I gave cooking classes to pay a cheaper fare, sold some home jewelry, a necklace from my wedding, to cover the rest of the airfare, and borrowed $200 from Carla with a promise and fear in my eyes. She didn't even raise an eyebrow at the IOU. Carla finally taught me good debt could be fuel. Her subtle grin said more than words. Some debts, like dreams, were worth bearing. Back in my apartment after that worst moment, my perspective shifted. That hardship brought clarity. Money was more than currency. It was freedom. Freedom to react when life turned upside down. I set up an emergency fund after that, brand new this time, equal to 3 months of rent. Every time I deposited $10 into it, I felt a pang of power where fear used to live. As winter came, the city glittered with lights and my confidence grew. By now, I had picked up enough English, saved a bit in the bank, and even taken online courses in bookkeeping. I moved from cleaning floors to doing taxes at a local accounting firm, thanks to my bilingual skills and grit. The pay was just $15 an hour, but it felt like a skyscraper compared to before. I continued to cook and sell on weekends, but something new happened. I started to hire. First, Maria, who'd lost her job as a waitress, helped me handle orders. Then Jamal, a former taxi driver, learned my recipes and took on deliveries. It was scary to split the pay, but Carla's lessons echoed in my mind. There's money in teaming up. When 2 hands help, The mountain of work shrinks. Finally, in the spring of my 3rd year, I did something I never imagined I'd do in Brooklyn. I rented a tiny storefront. It was a hole in the wall, but it had a kitchen. Our little community rallied around us. Mrs. Rodriguez put in $500, acting like a shrewd angel investor. Carla helped me negotiate the lease. Even Jamal hustled up some private investors from his mosque. I finally had a real restaurant. My dream on 14th Street, a place with my name on the door, no longer felt like a mirage. I stood outside under the streetlight as workers hung up the sign. My name in bold letters promising something real. The city pulsed around me with lights and life. I thought of every heartbreak, every midnight hustle, every lesson wrapped in a tortilla or a whispered Spanish proverb. In that moment, I understood the truth. Money wasn't a destination or a dark art hidden in graphs. It was trust. It was freedom. It was fight. It was every time I bet on myself and those around me. It was the courage to turn fear into action, the wisdom to weather storms, and the generosity to build something with others. The real treasure was how my heart had changed. I hadn't just learned how to make money. I learned what money could make of me.